The Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue, them review, who review, who review, them review, them review. The Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue is a compilation album and the first album overall by English avant-pop band Stavely Makepeace, released in May 2004 by reissue label RPM Records. Compiled by journalist Bob Stanley, it contains a string of singles recorded between 1969 and 1984 that the band recorded in their home studio and released on various record labels. The band, primarily consisting of Woodward and Nigel Fletcher, were influenced by Joe Meek and started the band in order to explore experimental and disparate ideas within pop music, describing their musical style as the scrap iron sound in reference to their incorporation of unusual instruments. Their singles were commercially unsuccessful, though the band would find major success with Mouldy Old Dough 1972 under the extended lineup of Lieutenant Pigeon. Though Lieutenant Pigeon were subject to a best of compilation, in 2001, the Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue marked the first time that Stavely Makepeace released a compilation of their material, following the appearance of their 1972 single Slippery Rock 70s on the compilation Velvet Tinmine 2003, which compiled obscure glam rock singles. The Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue received critical acclaim, with praise given to the idiosyncratic songs and production. The producers of Hot Fuzz used sloppy rock 70s in the film after hearing it on the compilation, somewhat rising the band's profile. Background and release. Band career. Compilation. For a lengthy period of time, Stavely Makepeace's material was left uncompiled. This was in contrast to Lieutenant Pigeon, who were subject to the Cherry Red Records compilation The Best of Lieutenant Pigeon 2001, which combined the band's 1970s singles alongside album tracks and unreleased songs. In February 2003, Stavely Makepeace's 1972 single Slippery Rock 70s appeared on the various artists' compilation Velvet Tinmine, which compiled 20 obscure glam rock singles from the 1970s. Interest in the group had picked up, which allowed the band to release a compilation of their material. Named the Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue after the band's description of their musical style, the album compiles most of the band's singles recorded between 1969 and 1984 and is their first overall album. The BBC noted that, with the compilation, it took 36 years for Stavely Makepeace to release their first album. It features 22 tracks and was compiled by journalist and musician Bob Stanley with help from Mark Stratford, whose reissue label RPM Records released the compilation on 24 May 2004. The album's lengthy liner notes are written by the band themselves. Laura Findlay designed the album artwork. Musical style. In their reviews of the Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue, critics highlighted the unusual, disparate sound to the songs. Uncut felt that the band fused 1970s emo music with DIY avant-garde and wrote, speeding up and multi-tracking home recordings in their mum's front room. They concocted phased, clunking West Midlands exotica and spliced whole new genres, radiophonic Cajun reggae, yodeling steampunk, Joe Meek boogie. All music made note that, as was the case with Lieutenant Pigeon's output, Stavely Makepeace's home productions focused on applying quirky, moderately lo-fi production to simplistic pop songs with strong echoes of both British novelty music and 1950s rock and roll, with songs boasting fiddle lines, horns, old-fashioned piano, and anachronism. Unlike the largely instrumental Lieutenant Pigeon, the music on the Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue is generally more focused on songs with vocals. Bob Stanley made note of the band's Dada sound. Their 1969 debut single I Wanna Love You Like a Mad Dog opens the compilation. According to Stanley, the song sounds like a one-man oompa band that has been phased to simulate a psychedelic experience. It features tongue-in-cheek sexual lyrics that Stanley compared to the controversial lyrics of Marie Lloyd. Ed Ned is a pop song with the high-pitched refrain sung by either Woodward or Fletcher of Ed, 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 Ed. Edna, let me sing my beautiful song. The BBC described the song's vocals as quirky yodeling. In comparing the band's eclectic array of styles, they also felt it contrasted with the rock and roll styled Runaround Sue. Their 1972 single Slippery Rock 70s was recorded as the slightly rocky backing to a track named Fan. Fletcher named it Slippery Rock after the borough in Pennsylvania where he had recently stayed. The 70s suffix was added by Spark. Uncut felt the song glimmered with authentic strangeness. Reception and legacy. The Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue received positive reviews from critics. As was the case with the best of Lieutenant Pigeon, the Scrap Iron Rhythm Revue received 4.5 stars out of 5 from AllMusic and was named an album pick. Writing for the website, Richie Unterberger felt that even though the singles compiled on the album aimed for the pop charts, they had been unsuccessful because Woodward and Nigel were just a little too strange for their own good. He felt the idiosyncratic production was more interesting than the songs, but felt that the compilation does justice to the band's legacy. Uncut felt that the compilation proved that the band consistently created genuinely unusual songs and wrote that their destiny was as a novelty footnote. Fletcher paid to see the film to see if the instrumental was used and was pleased to hear it used in its entirety. It was the first time that Fletcher had been inquired by others to use a Stavely Makepeace track in a project and helped rise the band's profile, with the Coventry Telegraph calling it the band's big break. Jamie Hewlett of Gorillaz became a fan of the band. I Wanna Love You Like a Mad Dog features on the proto-punk compilation Punk 45, Sick on You, One Way Spit, After the Love and Before the Revolution Proto-Punk 1970-77 Vol. 3, released in 2014 by Soul Jazz Records. In 2015, Stavely Makepeace reunited to release the one-off comeback single Time Marches On, a song which was described by the Coventry Telegraph as quirky as the band's other material and as tracking the advent of pop music since the 1950s. Track listing. I Wanna Love You Like a Mad Dog 345, Edna 222, Smoky Mountain Rhythm Revue 253, Walking Through the Bluegrass 246, The Sundance 251, Give Me That Pistol 215, Slippery Rock 70s 251, Cajun Band 251, Memories of Your Love 243, Prima Donna 243, Swings and Roundabouts 214, There's a Wall Between Us 420, Summer Weekends 311, E1111, Baby Blue Eyes 326, Big Bad Baby Blondie 2-3, No Regrets 339, Cradle of Love 3-4, Hell Bent on Rock Roll 316, Songs of Yesterday 2-55, Gilly's Bar is Empty 244, Mr. Pleasant 2-52, Just Tell Her Fred Said Goodbye 349, Personnel, Stavely Makepeace, Rob Woodward, Nigel Fletcher. Production, Bob Stanley compiling, producing, Laura Findlay design, artwork, Nigel Fletcher production, Rob Woodward production, Mark Stratford production, references,